Everything in Chicago feels ready to explode. Power is shifting, trust is breaking, and every move the characters make in this episode feels like it could be their last. Episode 5 doesn't warm up, it hits hard from the first moment, pulling us into a world where one wrong choice can flip the entire game. And right at the center of it all is Tommy, standing between chaos and control, trying to stay one step ahead while the city tries to swallow him whole. The episode opens with a heavy tension that you can almost feel in the air, as if the city itself knows something dark is coming. The first scene takes us into the streets just before sunrise, the sky still cold and gray, and everything almost too quiet for Chicago. This calm doesn't feel peaceful, it feels dangerous, the kind of silence that only happens right before trouble hits. Tommy steps into this quiet world with a focused, tense energy carrying the weight of everything that has fallen apart around him. His empire is growing, but so are the threats. Every enemy he's made is moving closer, and every ally he thought he could trust is starting to feel less reliable. This opening sets the tone perfectly. Nothing is stable, nothing is safe, and every decision will echo through the rest of the episode. As Tommy pushes forward, the camera moves through empty alleys and quiet corners of the city, showing how Chicago never sleeps, it only waits. Then, with no warning, the piece cracks. A deal that should have been simple turns into the first spark of chaos. A group that Tommy thought he had under control suddenly shows signs of breaking away, giving us our first look at how fragile his hold on the streets really is. The conversation starts calm, but their body language is sharp, full of doubt and hidden anger. You can feel the shift happening, a storm building behind every word. Tommy tries to keep the situation steady, but the tension is too thick, and you can tell he senses something is off. Even before anyone makes a move, the episode makes it clear that enemies aren't always loud. Sometimes they smile while they plan your downfall. This entire section works like the slow pull of a trigger, tightening the pressure as Tommy steps deeper into the day, unaware of how many pieces around him are already starting to fall. The opening scene's quiet danger sets the stage for the power plays, betrayals, and explosions that will define the rest of the episode. And it reminds us that in Tommy's world, calm is just another setting for chaos waiting to happen. Tommy moves through this episode with a heavy urgency, like he knows the clock is ticking even if no one has said it out loud yet. Everything he built is standing on shaky legs, and episode 5 shows him fighting to keep control while the city tries to pull him into deeper trouble. He starts the day by checking in on his operation, and right away he sees signs that something is slipping. The product is moving fast, the demand is growing, but the people running it are losing focus. Some are scared, some are greedy, and some are thinking too far ahead for their own good. Tommy can sense that they're drifting, and the more he tries to fix it, the more he realizes he's surrounded by people who want his spot, his power, or his downfall. But instead of backing off, he leans into the pressure, pushing harder than ever, because that's the only way he knows how to survive. His conversations hit sharper, his decisions cut quicker, and every choice feels like he's betting the entire game on a single move. Then comes a moment that shifts the whole episode. Tommy meets with someone he thought he could count on, someone he once called a partner, but the energy between them is different now. There's hesitation in their voice, a coldness in their eyes, and it tells Tommy everything he needs to know. The streets are whispering behind his back. He tries to keep the talk smooth, but inside he's already preparing for the worst, because betrayal never comes loud. It comes quiet, with people pretending everything is normal. As they talk, Tommy pieces together small clues, hints that others are forming their own plans, making deals in the shadows. He doesn't call them out, not yet. Instead, he locks the information away, waiting for the right moment to move. That's when Tommy shines the most, not in the violence, but in the thinking, in the way he sees patterns everyone else misses. And this episode leans into that skill. We watch him follow leads, test loyalties, and use his instinct like a weapon, stepping into spaces where danger sits at the table with him. But even with all his experience, Episode 5 shows us a side of Tommy that feels more alone than ever. Every ally has a risk, every move has a cost, and every step forward feels like it might be the one that finally snaps the rope he's been walking on. The city is pushing back harder, enemies are growing bolder, and the shadows around him are filling with faces he doesn't fully trust. Still, he doesn't slow down. If anything, the threat makes him sharper, more dangerous, more determined to take back control before someone else steals it. By the end of this section, we see Tommy facing a choice that will shape the rest of the episode: stay cautious and lose ground, or strike first and risk starting a war he can't stop. And knowing Tommy, he's already leaning toward the move that brings fire, while Tommy fights to keep his world from breaking apart. The rest of Chicago moves with its own quiet storms, each character pulling the city in a different direction. Diamond starts this episode caught in a dangerous space between leadership and fear, trying to hold his crew together while sensing that the streets don't respect him the way they once did. He tries to keep calm, but his eyes show a man who knows the walls are closing in. His brother Jenard, on the other hand, feels like a ticking fuse ready to burst. His anger grows with every scene, every conversation, every reminder that he no longer sits on top. He sees enemies everywhere, even where there are none, and his desperation makes him unpredictable. This episode hints that Jenard is ready to make a decision that won't just change his path, but could destroy everything the brothers built. His moves are getting louder, riskier, fueled by ego and fear. And the dangerous part is that he thinks he can handle it all alone. Meanwhile, Claudia operates in the shadows with a quiet confidence that makes her feel more dangerous than ever. She steps deeper into her secret deals, shaking hands with people who don't trust her but still want her power. She smiles through every lie, knowing she's playing a long game. But there's something colder in her this season, something sharper, like she's no longer seeking approval but control. She hides her frustrations well, but the audience can feel her building a path that could collide with Tommy in a violent way. Her agreements grow messy, her alliances unstable, and this episode hints that one of her partners is already planning to cut her out. Instead of backing down, Claudia moves with a boldness that shows she's ready to burn bridges if it means climbing higher. The Rodriguez brothers also make their presence felt, rising as a threat that refuses to stay in the background. Their network spreads quietly, reaching corners of the city Tommy hasn't secured yet. Their ambition grows bolder, and their patience thinner, showing that they're not satisfied being second to anyone. They don't attack outright, but their subtle moves reveal intention. They're gathering strength, forming new ties, and waiting for the moment when Tommy stumbles just enough for them to strike. These side stories weave through the episode with tension that never lets up. Each character moves separately, but the episode makes it clear that all their paths are headed toward the same collision. Every choice they make adds another crack to the fragile balance of power in Chicago. Diamond's doubt, Jenard's rage, Claudia's secrets, and the Rodriguez brothers' ambition combine like pieces of a storm slowly gathering force. And through all of this, none of them realize how their actions are feeding the chaos Tommy is trying to outrun. Each subplot adds weight to the growing danger of the episode, showing how Chicago's streets don't just fight Tommy, they fight everyone who tries to control them. By the end of these subplots, the city feels more alive, more threatening, and more unpredictable than ever, setting the stage for an explosive shift that none of them are prepared to face. The tension that has been simmering from the start finally erupts in this part of the episode, and it hits with the kind of force that changes everything in an instant. Chicago's quiet streets transform into a pressure cooker as all the small warnings, missed signs, and hidden motives collide at the same moment. Tommy walks into what he thinks is a routine check-in, something simple that will take a few minutes, but the air feels wrong the second he steps in. There's a heaviness around him, like the room itself is holding its breath. He notices the way people stand, the way they avoid his eyes, the way their hands twitch with nerves they're trying to hide. It's a place he's been before, but it doesn't feel like familiar territory anymore. It feels like a trap waiting to snap shut. And in one shocking beat, the peaceful tension breaks into pure chaos. A deal that was supposed to be clean turns violent when a rival crew bursts in, guns drawn, voices sharp with anger and fear. Everything happens too fast to follow cleanly, shouts Echo, tables slam, bodies scramble for cover. Tommy reacts in seconds, instincts taking over, pushing him into survival mode. He doesn't hesitate, doesn't freeze. He moves like someone who has seen this moment coming even when he hoped it wouldn't arrive. Bullets tear through the space, and the calm from earlier is replaced with an explosion of noise and danger. Tommy fights not just to stay alive but to keep the entire operation from collapsing in one blow. What makes this scene powerful isn't just the violence, but the betrayal hidden inside it. As Tommy fires back and tries to take control, he catches sight of someone who shouldn't be there, someone he trusted, someone who now stands beside the attackers instead of him. That single glance, quick and sharp, cuts deeper than any gunshot. It confirms what he feared in Section 2. Someone close has been feeding information to his enemies. The realization hits him hard, but he doesn't have time to confront it. The room is a storm, and he has to survive before he can question anything. The rival crew moves with confidence, like they knew exactly when and where Tommy would show up. This isn't random. This is planned. This is personal. The fight grows more intense, pushing Tommy into corners where every choice feels life or death. He takes hits, he gives hits, and he refuses to fall because falling means losing everything he has fought to build. The space becomes a battlefield of broken trust, shattered deals, and desperation. By the time the dust finally settles, bodies are down, the room is destroyed, and the echo of betrayal still hangs in the air heavier than the smoke drifting through the space. Tommy stands there breathing hard, surrounded by the wreckage of a plan he didn't see coming. He realizes that this wasn't just an attack, it was a message. Someone wants him off the throne, and they're willing to burn the entire city to make it happen. This mid-episode climax doesn't just raise the stakes. It flips the whole story on its head, forcing Tommy into a new level of war he didn't choose but now cannot escape.